Dun, 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 dun. I love Star Wars.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Grindhouse. Now today, I wanted to talk a little bit about something. So last year, Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, okay? And everybody was anticipating it because it's Star Wars, you know, like, a lot of people act like we haven't got a Star Wars movie in like 30 years, and even though that's not true, but regardless, of course, I went to see the movie because, you know, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I do like the concept of Star Wars. I do like the effects, I like the acting usually. So when I went to see the movie, okay, I was anticipating it's going to be cool because I remember we went to see, my mom, and my uncle went to see that movie Ferdinand, and I remember I went to go get a refill my drink, and I walked by Star Wars Last Jedi, where like the theater was, and just like outside the door you could hear explosions and action and everything. And I go into Ferdinand, there's a really dumb dance off going on that's like cringe, and I'm just like, could be watching the exciting movie, or we better watch this. So yeah. But then the following week we actually went to see Star Wars The Last Jedi. I was anticipating, you know, exciting action and stuff, but no. That wasn't what I got. It wasn't boring, but I didn't think it was good either. So, one of my biggest problems with Star Wars, or at least, okay, mostly The Last Jedi, because this is mostly it, is that I don't remember there's that much humor in the original trilogy, and even in The Force Awakens, or Rogue One. I don't remember that much humor. But then they decided to have a buttload of humor into Last Jedi, like they might as well call it an action comedy, because that's mostly what it was. Like, all these problems and everything, and the trailers and everything, they weren't making it seem like it was gonna be funny or anything, or humorous. They were just like, it's gonna be action, and, you know, overhyping the movie, because that's what every movie does, right? And that's the sad thing about Last Jedi, is that instead of having, like, serious moments, instead they made it all goofy and comedic and everything, fun, and it's just like, oh god. Because, you know, if they had asked me what the most underrated sci-fi franchise of all time was for me, I'd say Transformers. I like Transformers, and I always liked how it added comedy with action and serious moments, and they did it really well in my mind, because it wasn't, the message of the story wasn't like based off like something very serious, like the previous movies. Like, let's just say the first three Transformers movies, they never took themselves seriously. They always were like funny and comedic, so that's like something you would expect from a Transformers movie. The last one, I thought, like, mixed it up a bit, and it wasn't great. And I was like, dang, now I don't want to see another Transformers movie. Like, unless it's being directed by someone else, and it's might actually be better, I don't want to see another one. And then I was like, maybe, you know, I thought 2017 was a time where some of my favorite sci-fi franchises were, like, coming to an end. And I was like, you know, maybe Last Jedi might be way better, because, you know, it's Star Wars, so it's gonna be way better, right? I was sadly mistaken. It ended up, like, because again, I remember my favorite 5 Star Wars movies, which is the first 3 of the original trilogy, Force Awakens, and Rogue One. They had comedic moments in them, yes, but they were also taking themselves seriously, like more serious than most of the other Star Wars movies that are coming out, like the prequels mostly. And so that was one of the things about Star Wars. It never was comedic. It was never about comedy and jokes and like entertaining children and pandering to families. It was never about that. It was always about they wanted to be serious. They wanted to make the characters seem badass. They wanted them to be, like, actually involved with the message. They actually had a message. But then I think Last Jedi ruined that. It got rid of the message, it got rid of the seriousness of the previous Star Wars movies, and it made it more comedic, which I thought was a bad thing. I mean, sure, the jokes were funny, and yes, I was laughing at some of them, but still, like, I didn't expect this to be a comedy. I expected it to be a serious movie, like the other Star Wars movies. I didn't expect it to be a complete comedy. Like, I say, like, I hate when people are like, rule everything by their expectations, but not this time, at least for me. Like, sure, that's what it sounds like, but I was expecting to be like the other Star Wars movies. I was expecting to take the Star Wars movies more seriously, because, like, look, we're in the first 3 movies, we're presented with the Empire, the main antagonists of the film franchise. They amp it up to take them more seriously. They did. They took them more seriously. And then The Force Awakens happened, and we were met with the First Order, and they took it more seriously. Like, sure, they had comedic moments, but they were still a threat. They were like terrorists, kind of. And so they took them more seriously. And of course, Rogue One went back to the Empire and again took them more seriously, took them more like a terrorist, like, threat group. But then The Last Jedi just kind of like ruined it. It decided to make them less of a threat and more like they were a joke. More like they weren't something to take seriously. They were something like, you can probably just bad like that, like barely, and then they'll fall down and then you win. Like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that aspect of it. I didn't really get that. Like, seriously, like, again, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I do love at least 5 Star Wars movies. Again, 3 of them contain A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And then, of course, I like The Force Awakens and Rogue One. But I wanted to like this one, but I couldn't, because I felt like while the other previous Star Wars movies took themselves more seriously, took the antagonist, took the main problems and issues of what was happening in the story more seriously, I felt this one just took it less serious and was like, it's a joke. It's a joke. And it's just like, what? What the hell? If I want a Star Wars comedy, I would just put on Spaceballs by Mel Brooks. Because that movie, that is a comedy. That was supposed to be a comedy, and it's a Star Wars comedy. So, but I didn't ask for that. I don't think anyone asked for that in Last Jedi. That's why a lot of people hated it, and I hate it too. Sadly enough, The Last Jedi. I hope it's The Last Jedi. I mean, there's so much stupidity in the movie and everything. I just didn't like it. I couldn't like it. I couldn't bring myself to like it. And the other problem I had with the movie was that the original trilogy had a message about, in the universe of the original trilogy, everything the Empire was doing and everything was kind of the everyday norm. All this, like, apocalyptic, crappy, dystopian-like stuff, it was all like a norm. It was like the social norm. But the original trilogy taught the audience that if you think the social norm is bad, if you think like it's doing something really bad, you should break the social norm. You should free yourself from it. Like, that's what Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, that's what they all did. They freed themselves from the social norm to fight the Empire. They did that. And then, of course, after the Return of the Jedi, the original trilogy ended, but then The Force Awakens came out. And that also taught the same thing. And this is the message for all Star Wars movies. If the social norm you think is really corrupt and evil and doing something very bad, break it. Rebel against it. And that's what The Force Awakens did. They rebelled, and the characters, Rey and Finn, they all rebelled against Kylo Ren and the First Order because they thought the social norm was so corrupt that it needed to be, like, someone needed to fight back. And Rogue One, again, kind of did the same thing as the original trilogy, because, as you probably know, It took place in the universe of the original trilogy. So, yeah, so I was like, you know, that's why I think a lot of people like Star Wars and think it's an important movie. Not just because of the special effects, but because it was one of the most unique sci-fi movies that taught that message. And especially for the time. Like, at the time, people were afraid to do that. People were afraid to make movies about going against the social norm, or going against what society is supposed to teach you. People were afraid to do that. But then Star Wars A New Hope came out, and it did that. It did just that. George Lucas did that. He's actually a mastermind at doing that. And I know I say that he kind of can be a crybaby, which he can, but he's still a mastermind at telling stories like that, especially with messages like that. But The Last Jedi sadly did not do that. The Last Jedi took all that and crumbled it. The Last Jedi just made fun of that. Like they were making jokes and everything. They weren't taking the villain seriously. They weren't taking the whole message seriously. Like the Empire or the First Order, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call them, they represent the social norm. And since the social norm was so evil, you know, that's why the rebels exist, the Rebel Alliance, because they're fighting against the social norm, because the social norm is so corrupted and evil. But this movie kind of made fun of that. Like in the other movies, they took it a little more seriously. This time, they said, hey, we're going to make fun of them, and we're going to make the social norm not seem that big of a problem, like we did in the original trilogy, The Force Awakens, and Rogue One. I think that's what ruined the movie for me. Like the message that all the other Star Wars movies created, this one just destroyed, and it didn't even really have a message. It was like humor and jokes for the sake of humor and jokes. And sure, like I said, there are some actual funny ones. Like there's a moment that me and my sister always make fun of where Luke Skywalker gets a leaf and he starts tickling Rey's like hand, and he's like, and because she's trying to feel the Force, and she's like, oh, I feel so. He's like, oh yeah, that's the Force and everything. The Force is with you. And I thought that was so clever and funny. Besides that, you know, the movie wasn't, I don't know, the acting was They ruined some of the characters for me. Like, I guess, like that old, like this guy right there, I guess he's my only favorite character, like next to like Kylo Ren and Rey, of course, and Finn, and Luke Skywalker, mostly the main characters. Besides that, all the other characters were just like Finn, there's a moment, spoiler alert, but there's a moment when, during the last battle, Finn is going to sacrifice himself to save everyone from this death cannon that the First Order is going to launch at them. And he's going to do it to be epic and badass. He's going to be a badass. But then this girl that I guess was like his partner throughout the entire film just like bumps into him and is like, no! And it's like, what the hell? You were allow him to do that. He was to be badass and maybe he'll survive, maybe like jump out or something. But no, you ruined it, and now everyone's probably going to die because of you. So yeah, and she's like, I love you, and I'm just like, what? And yeah, it was so stupid. And also the posters kind of misinterpreted what the movie was going to be like. Like, there's a poster, can I even show, will it fit in here? I don't know, but look it up. But there's a poster where it shows like, oh, you know, the good guys on the left, the bad guys on the right, you know, and stuff like that. And in the poster it shows like Luke Skywalker's in both the left and the right, meaning he is a good guy, he's the Jedi. At the same time, he's like a Sith Lord, he's in the Sith clothing and everything. And I thought, is he gonna be a bad guy in this movie? But he wasn't. Like, he was a badass, but he wasn't a bad guy. I just thought, like, you know, sure, like, Kylo Ren's backstory and Luke Skywalker is going to kill him and everything. I thought, okay, sure, then he made him seem like he was a bad guy. He was going to be a bad guy. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I guess. But no, he did it for another reason. He saw that Kylo Ren was going to become corrupted and evil, so that was the only way for him to do it. for him to stop him was possibly to kill him. And then everybody probably thought he was some evil villain. So yeah. I mean, it didn't have like a good cameo from Master Yoda. But, like, again, this movie was misinterpreting the message. It was like overhyping it. They made these like false advertisements saying that Luke Skywalker might be the bad guy or something like that. That's why it's called Last Jedi. But no, it wasn't. And, you know, there was like a moment, like, that last fight at the beach and everything on that sand planet, that was so useless. Like how they entered it was just like, what? So you're just gonna go from this straight to this fight? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I thought maybe they're gonna, like, maybe they were going to do that, like, in the middle of the movie or something like that. And then, you know, have, like, maybe this guy again, like, leading the fight and everything. No, they killed the bad guy. They killed the main villain. And then Kylo Ren's gonna become good. You think, oh, he's gonna become good. But then he's just like, no, he can't become good. And he had a good point, how you should just let the past die, because that's like killing off the older characters, which a lot of people are like that's a sucky thing, but this is a new trilogy, a new franchise. You don't want the older characters in them. You want them, like, you know, we're going to lend our talents and we're allowed a new group of heroes to take over and become the good guys and save the day. And they didn't. Rey was like, no, you can't do that. And then, yeah. And I was like, well, that's genius, though. Like, and, oh yeah, another part I forgot to mention was in the middle of the movie, they're like, oh, they're gonna kill Princess Leia. And then we're like, since sadly Carrie Fisher passed away, it would kind of be like a kind of an intelligent thing to kind of kill off her character. Kind of kill off her character because she passed away and she won't be making more Star Wars movies, which is sad. It really is a sad thing. But then they said, no, we can't. So using the most retarded B-movie like effects we can master into what's supposed to be a very high-budget movie, we're gonna bring her back and she's gonna live. And that's not gonna make sense because she can't make more movies anymore. And that's, again, it's still a sad thing, but it's the truth. She can't make more movies. So I thought it would be more intelligent just to have her character die. And because it's like, it's kind of like, well, Carrie Fisher's not with us anymore. Princess Leia, the character, it would be right for her to be like not with us as well. But no, we can't do that. No, we have to make her live for the fans. What the hell? This movie was, I want to like it. There's things I liked about this movie, like Stoke or whatever the old freak's name is, the guy that looks like he's from Hills Have Eyes. I liked him. I liked Kylo Ren. I liked the main characters. I liked Luke Skywalker. But, you know, I thought this character was to be evil. That's one of the problems, too. That they're making her be like, oh, she's going to be this main person that's, like, just as bad as the First Order. So they have to go against her. But then Princess Leia is like, no! She is right. Like, what? No, she's not. Having to sit there, her plan was going to be literally, you're going to kill everybody. What? And then, I'm going to sacrifice myself like everybody cares about you. Like, no offense, but nobody liked you. Like, you are a complete... I can't cuss. You're a complete jerk. That's all I can say. You're a complete jerk. You're like kind of like a sociopath, but you still want people to like you, so you're gonna sacrifice yourself. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to anybody else, because that didn't make sense that much to me. You know, I did like the social justice warrior thing, because I know a lot of people hate that, but I thought this movie, that's one of the only things this movie did right with the message, was the social justice warrior aspect of it. I did like that. I liked how they were fighting for what they believe was right. They weren't over-exaggerating it. They actually were doing it just right. I thought that was cool. You know, I also thought, like, hey, this girl wanted to save those abused space horse things from the rich freaks that abuse them and only want them to die, and I thought that was cool. That was awesome. But besides that, I can't really bring myself to like this movie. I'm sorry, but I have to give it a 5 out of 10. Like, yes, there were 5 for, like, there were some aspects of the movie I did enjoy, but then I can't give it a 10 or even being anything near a 10 because the rest I didn't care for. I didn't care for the rest. I'm sorry, but I didn't like The Last Jedi. Like I said, there are a lot of people out there that did, and that's fine, but I just think that everybody's overhyping it. Everyone wants to defend it. And then, you know, this is the reason why if I want to watch a sci-fi movie from 2017, I'll just go back to Alien Covenant or Blade Runner, because those, to me, were the more important, awesome sci-fi movies. Like, Alien Covenant did something different with the Alien franchise that was kind of really cool. And about, like, it had an aspect on religion and creation and God. And then Blade Runner did something different because it was a sequel, like a direct sequel to Blade Runner. And yes, people will complain, well, it didn't have that much Harrison Ford in it, it was boring, but who thought it was going to be an action movie? I didn't think it was going to be an action movie. The first Blade Runner wasn't that much of an action movie, so I thought this one was just like, you know, it's going to be cool, it's going to be awesome, and I thought it was. And, you know, that's my opinion, I liked it. I really did enjoy Blade Runner. And, you know, but I just gotta say, why, there's a lot of people that are comparing, for some reason, Blade Runner to The Last Jedi, and they're saying, Last Jedi was better! And they don't just say, like, I thought The Last Jedi was better. Well, no, they try to make it sound like it was a fact. Why? Why? So you're saying a movie that, like, knew what it was doing, I'm talking about Blade Runner, a movie that was cinematically knew what it was doing, knew the message that I was trying to tell, and the story, the universe it was in, the characters and everything like that. It was taking itself so seriously. And you're saying that's worse than the movie that didn't know the message it was trying to tell. It wasn't taking itself seriously. It wasn't taking the threat seriously. The bad guys were kind of laughable. It was like, again, it was like you can just barely knock them like that, and they'll all fall down, and you win. Like, what kind? I don't get that. I don't get that. Again, if you want my opinion, it's my opinion. I would rather recommend Alien Covenant or the new Blade Runner to Star Wars Last Jedi. I'm sorry, but I didn't like it. Anyway, you know, again, this is just my opinion, so if you guys like the Star Wars Last Jedi, go ahead and like it, and you know what? In the comments, tell me if you did enjoy it or not. And also, while you're down there, please give this video a thumbs up, and also hit that big red subscribe button. Also hit that bell icon for notifications on my future uploads. And share this video with your friends, family, people you think might like this. And I'll see you guys next time. And remember, my grindhouse is always open. Goodbye.